Good morning, viewers. It's Daniel again, back with more antinatalist musings. And today I want to explore two forms of moral thinking or ethical thinking. And we'll use the classic trolley problem in order to explain it. If you haven't heard the trolley problem before, hopefully you'll enjoy this. So the trolley problem is, well, first let me explain categorical and consequential moral thinking. A categorical moral reasoning would say that the thing in itself is wrong. Doing something to harm somebody is wrong categorically, no matter what far-term consequences of benefit might accrue. The thing in itself is wrong, therefore you shouldn't do it. A consequentialist moral thinker would say, well, it depends. There may be a short-term negative action, but it might produce long-term positive consequences. Therefore, we would place value in the consequences rather than in the thing in itself. So there are two forms of moral reasoning, and the trolley problem, I think, even though people have different answers to it, really illustrates how we can switch gears between categorical moral thinking, and consequentialist moral thinking without even knowing we're doing it. So here's the trolley problem. You are on a trolley, like a train, a city train. It's on a track. You're going along. There's no steering wheel. There's no brakes. You're the only person on the trolley, and you can't get off. The doors are all locked. This is hypothetical, of course. The only instrument inside that little trolley is a switch gear, in which the trolley can be moved from one track to a side track. That's the only implement you have to use. And you're going along at a good speed. Now you come up to a T, there's a side track coming up, and you can see on the main track that you're on, there are 5 workers working on the track. And if you do nothing, if you don't touch anything, the trolley will hit those 5 workers and most likely kill all of them. But there is a side track off to your left, and you can use that switch gear, whatever it's called, that thing, to switch over to the side track and avoid killing the 5 workers. Whew. The only issue is there's one worker on that track, and you'll certainly hit him and kill him or her. So the question is, what do you do, and why or why not do you do it? Some people would say, I prefer to do nothing. I'll just let life take its course, and I don't want to be involved. Of course, they're sort of involved because they're viewing what's going on. They're making a decision not to take an action. But some people say this, and they say, let the train go forward and kill the 5. The one, of course, will be spared, but 5 will be killed. Most people that I've presented this argument to take the second view. They say, I'll switch the trolley over to the side track, killing 1 person rather than 5. Now the next question is, why? What is the moral principle underlying your action or your inaction? The people that would switch the trolley over and only kill the 1 usually say something like, it's better to kill fewer people, even though neither is the perfect solution. I don't like either. I would rather see only 1 person killed than see 5 killed. So that's consequential moral thinking. They're thinking the consequences of fewer deaths is preferable. The ones that prefer to do nothing I'm a little bit sort of, I think, agnostic about outcomes. They say, I don't know these people. They'll start to justify why maybe killing 5 people would be okay. Maybe they're not nice people. Who knows? But they prefer to have a hands-off strategy. And I don't know that there's a particular moral thinking there. There may be, but I haven't sorted that out yet. Now, there's a second part to the trolley problem, which is what really illustrates the way we switch our mind without knowing it. So the second hypothetical is this. This time, you're not on the trolley. You're on a bridge, a railway bridge, over top of where the trolley car is going to pass underneath. And the trolley car, again, is going along just like it did before. There's no side track this time. There's just this one track, and again, there are 5 workers on that track, and you're unable to warn them. They can't hear you. There's nothing you can do about it. If you do nothing, that trolley will hit the 5 workers and kill all of them. But standing beside you on this railway bridge overpass is a very, very fat man. And he's leaning over, looking at what's going on. And if you just gave him a little shove, he would fall off the railway overpass, drop onto the track. He's so fat, so much mass that the trolley will hit him, kill him, but stop before it kills the other 5. So when presented with this, almost everybody decides not to do anything. And the reasons for that would simply be, they would say, I don't want to murder somebody. But when I reflect back on the first hypothetical and illustrate and explain that the consequences are exactly the same, in the first scenario, they chose to go to the sidetrack, voluntarily switching that switchgear over and killing one. They took an action to kill one and save 5. And in this case, they could have taken an action by pushing the fat man, having him land on the track, again sparing the 5 and only killing 1. But this time they've changed their moral reasoning. They no longer are looking at the consequences of fewer deaths. Now they're looking at the tangible reality and perhaps the trauma of actually shoving somebody over. So that's kind of legitimate. Some people would say, well, the effect on me of actually being that close to another human being and pushing them off is a lot different than doing it from a distance, right? So maybe there's a psychological trauma being avoided there by refusing to push. And I understand that. So another example, one more layer here of nuance you can add is to say, what if underneath that very fat man there was a trap door, and in front of you, just like on the trolley car, there's a lever. And if you push that lever, he's not looking at you, he can't see you do it. If you push that lever, the trap door will open, he'll fall onto the track, stopping the train and saving the 5. But of course, he'll die in the process. And even at this, people will still say no. They somehow feel like it's categorically, or it's fundamentally different. It feels different than the first scenario. But of course, now the motor action of moving the lever is exactly the same. The important part to recognize is not so much that we choose one or the other, or people have different moral intuitions. The important thing to recognize is that we are not rational and consistent moral thinkers. Most of us, maybe not all of us, but most of us don't recognize the switch between categorical and consequential moral thinking when we are presented with these two hypotheticals. And of course, this relates to antinatalism, and I won't go too much farther today, but simply to say that there is another solution to reducing the suffering of those 5 on the track, and that is to not have 5 on the track ever to begin with. So I'll talk about more of this kind of stuff soon. Thanks again for listening.